This episode of the Managing Madrid Podcast is brought to you by Leipzig Marriott Hotel. Guess what, guys? I know a lot of you guys are going to Leipzig for Real Madrid's first leg Champions League encounter against Red Bull Leipzig, and a lot of you asking, where should I stay? Where are the Madridistas at? I'm telling you guys, book at Leipzig Marriott Hotel. You'll have a chance to meet me. You'll have a chance to be very close to the stadium. It's about a 10-minute transit ride away. They have an amazing sports bar where you can watch the other Champions League games on the Wednesday. So Real Madrid plays Tuesday, and if you're in town until Wednesday, you can stick around and watch at their new sports bar, get a burger, get a drink, watch the Champions League. It's going to be a blast. So if you're going to Leipzig, please book your stay at Leipzig Marriott Hotel. It's close to the zoo. It's close to the stadium. It's close to the Congress Center. And they got really spacious rooms, studios, pillow top beds, marble bathrooms, high-speed Wi-Fi. It's a no-brainer. Book your stay at Leipzig Marriott Hotel. You won't be disappointed, and we look forward to seeing you there. This episode of the Managing Madrid Podcast is also brought to you by Manscaped. Roses are red, violets are blue. Trim your balls, and your date will thank us too. What's up, fellas? Valentine's Day is knocking, and Manscaped is the remedy for what the love doctor ordered. His prescription? The all-new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, designed to elevate your grooming game and shine like the heartthrob you are. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com to snag 20% off and free shipping with the code Managing Madrid. And as always, we like to set up the post-game shows by giving out the Manscaped Man of the Match Award. And in this case, we're going to ask Matt Wiltse to introduce it and tell us, who is the Manscaped Man of the Match against Las Palmas?
Tonight, the Manscaped Man of the Match goes to Eduardo Camavinga with a close second by Vini Jr. Vinicius Jr. also using his Manscaped 5.0. So congrats to those two, but Eduardo Camavinga comes away with the Man of the Match honors.
Well done, Eduardo Camavinga. Congratulations on your Manscaped Man of the Match award after you helped Real Madrid beat Las Palmas. Listeners, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Managing Madrid at manscaped.com, because nothing says Happy New Year like a deal that leaves your balls and your budget feeling refreshed. Embrace a new you, and definitely embrace a new trimmer, courtesy of Manscaped.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there, and worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
All right, welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. It is shortly after Real Madrid beat Las Palmas in a classic Sunday matchup where Real Madrid left it late. They went down a goal and they scored two to overcome a deficit. Another remontada in the books, just another day in the office. Real Madrid 2, Las Palmas 1. Joining me to break this all down is Matt Wiltse. Matt, how are you?
Hey, Kiyan, doing well. Yeah, looking forward to breaking this one down. Another comeback win, like you said. So we'll take it.
Sunday early or Saturday. I said Sunday, didn't I? I meant to say Saturday, obviously. Saturday matinee. These early kickoffs. Are you a fan? Do you feel the lethargy? What's going on?
I usually like the late night games, especially under the lights. I feel like it's a little bit more intense, better atmosphere, but. Hey, credit to Las Palmas. I mean, they packed that stadium. It was pure yellow. It looked like a pretty good atmosphere for them. So yeah, no, it wasn't. Madrid didn't look great in the first half, and we'll get into that. But I think it wasn't too poor of a performance.
No, I mean, and keep in mind that Ancelotti was without Jude Bellingham, who obviously was suspended for this game, and he rotated a few other positions. You had Fede on the bench. Modric should not get on the field nor warm up. That's a slight talking point, as was addressed in the post-game press conference. And you had Brahim, Vini, and Rodrigo up top. You had Ceballos, Camavinga, and Toni Kroos in midfield. And Fran Garcia at left back, Carvajal right back, Nacho, Rudiger, Andre Lunin. So that rounds out the starting 11. It's interesting because I've watched a fair share of Las Palmas this season, and something that's interesting about them under Pimienta is that they tend to play pretty good football that's exciting and entertaining, and they do like to punch above their weight. They're not the most talented squad in the league. They have a few key pieces, obviously, but they do like to keep a high line, and they do like to take the game to the opponent. And just recently against Barcelona, a game they lost, they actually played a very high line that I thought Barcelona didn't take advantage of fully, even though they won that game. I thought today, so we know their brand of football, right? Like, we know how they like to play. I thought today they actually played a little bit deeper, though they did have space to exploit. I'm curious to know what you thought of their setup and what about them made it a little bit more difficult for us in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that has only lost 2 games at home all year, and that's to Barcelona and now Real Madrid. They've probably been one of the surprise packages of the season, performing really, really well. Obviously, their coach is a longtime former Barcelona academy coach, Pimienta. I think he was there for over 20 years. And so he's brought in a lot of young former Barca players. Obviously, Marvin Park is there now. I'm sure we'll talk about him. But yeah, I thought it was what you would expect from Las Palmas. So that high line, but they also tried to possess, and they're actually known for their defensive record. They have, I think, the second best defensive record after us in La Liga. Yeah. So this was actually the 2 of the best defensive teams, but the way they're defensive is different than kind of your prototypical what you think of a defensive team. They're defensive because they keep the Barca style. They keep possession, and so it's more of them retaining the ball and keeping possession rather than kind of sitting deep and being a deep block. So I was interested to see how we set up tactically, especially with some of the changes. I noted Brahim and Ceballos' positions in particular, especially defensively. I would have honestly swapped the 2. So Ceballos was on the right more often than not, and Brahim on the left. But when we were defending, especially our initial shape, it looked more like a 4-2-3-1, and Carlo had Brahim sit right on top of Las Palmas defensive mid to try and block off that out ball. And so I thought there were times where we looked a little disorganized because the Cruz Camavinga double pivot in that type of system, Camavinga oftentimes would come out to press. And if we got beat through that Las Palmas possession, then we were sliced open pretty easily, and there was huge holes between our midfield and defense. But I think for the most part, we contained them pretty well. But it was interesting to see how Carlos set this team up, and just kind of the context of knowing how Las Palmas play.
It's interesting you noted their defense and how their defense is different in ours. And despite us being the top two defensive teams in the league in terms of goals against, the way we defend is different. Las Palmas, their passes per defensive action, 9.1. They're third in the league behind Real Sociedad and Barcelona. And that tells you about how aggressive their press is as well. It's not just about possession. They do like to win the ball high up the pitch, and that's how they limit goals, is that they limit chances by limiting penetration in their own half. Real Madrid, by contrast, are below average in pressing, and they have been basically at that level for a while now. So they don't press nearly as aggressively, and the defensive shape is just different. So 2 different styles of football in some sense. The positioning and all that was interesting to me, that you noted Camavinga kind of going up the field at times. And in times like that, Cruz would tend to be the guy who drops and covers for Camavinga if he dribbled forward or whatever. I did think that overall, despite a couple chances that Las Palmas had in the first half, I was pretty comfortable with the way we set up. Our press was good. We limited Las Palmas from escaping their half much because our man-to-man press was, I thought, pretty good overall. Where I think they hurt us a couple times in the first half was Marvin Park getting in behind Nacho. I was kind of like, I know Marvin Park is a fast player. I also wonder what your assessment of Nacho is in terms of speed, because wasn't there a time where he was the fastest player in the squad. Like he was going toe to toe or even ahead of Gareth Bale at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching Marvin burn past him with pace today, do you think it's clear maybe that he's lost a step physically?
I mean, it would make sense. He's 34 years old now. It would make sense. And what's Marvin? Probably 21 at this point, maybe 22. And he and that speed has always been a part of Marvin's game. I think most of us, and I think Zidane even played him in that position, thought he would end up as a right back, and he looked good in that position. He actually, and it's not just because of the speed, but he reminded me a lot of Ashraf, just the way he, just his touch on the ball and kind of his body shape and things like that. He reminded me a lot of Ashraf, a young Ashraf, and so, he got in behind right from the get-go and beat Nacho for pace, and that's when Carvajal miskicked his cross and nearly led to an early goal for Las Palmas. But that wasn't the only time Marvin Park got in behind, and I think part of the problem we had there on that side in particular was Vini, and we don't really expect this from Vini, but Vini was playing zero defense on Marvin Park when he'd go forward. He was more looking to exploit that space to exploit the space that Marvin Park left behind, which he did on a couple occasions. But then you had Cruz and Fran, and we know that sometimes that duo in particular can struggle when they're overloaded with numbers, and Cruz isn't known for his defensive tracking. And so I think that hindered them a little bit. I would have preferred maybe Camavinga on that side, or a Fede double pivot, to help just kind of slow down those through balls down the wing. But I mean, we managed it in the end. It didn't cause us too much damage, and I think Cruz had besides for a couple small mistakes here and there, like, he had a hell of a game. And so I think early on you saw kind of the damage they could do, particularly from the wings, and I thought Real Madrid were a little bit too narrow, in that Las Palmas wanted to force us centrally and really clog the center of the pitch. And we didn't really I needed to see Brahim and Rodrigo kind of drift a little bit more, and that didn't happen. I actually thought this was Brahim's probably worst performance of the season. He was non-existent. Like, I can't think of a single thing he did in this game. And I thought we, particularly in the first half, like, we struggled to kind of figure out how to play against these guys.
I just thought, I don't even know if it's worse or just most absent, most missing from Brahim. Like, I guess that kind of counts as worse, but like, he had 16 touches in 58 minutes.
He was non-existent.
Yeah, he just basically, there's nothing to note on him. I mean, like, there was nothing he did. There's nothing, just that I would have liked to have seen him more involved. And I think you could have really used someone more involved in that situation, because part of the problem, like, part of the barrier we had of getting into Las Palmas' box was we needed more line breaking through the middle. We didn't have anything centrally at all. And that's where I also really missed the Fede Valverde, someone who could just drive the ball forward. Camavinga was doing a decent amount of ball carrying and dribbling, but he was mostly just trying to evade pressure, and then they would just hack him down with a foul. The only time I remember Brahim is that, like, Vini in the first half would make good off-ball runs, I thought. Trying to peel off the shoulder of Marvin or Alex Sanchez? I need to get his, was it Alex Sanchez? Alex Suarez. I knew it was an S. Alex Suarez. So he was trying to peel in behind them with off-ball runs, and I thought he was making good off-ball runs, but he wasn't getting it as much. And there was one moment where I think it's Fran Garcia on the left side has a choice to either play it down to Vini or play it to Brahim more centrally, and he made the mistake of playing it to Brahim, and Brahim just couldn't get on the end of it, and there was just nothing to note on Brahim. He wasn't very involved. A couple times I think Las Palmas' defensive line was vulnerable. We just didn't take advantage of it fully. Rudiger, I thought, tried. He had a couple moments where he looks up with the long ball, and
He's got that ball down this year. That ball over the top to Vini.
He's got it down really well. I think we could even see it more on games like this where you can clearly see there's a high line and the right ball over the top to Vini making that run could make the difference. And he hit it twice in the first half from what I remember. One, he underhit it. The second one, he hit it really well. Vini just couldn't get a clean touch on it. Otherwise, he would have been through on goal. But Vini was, I thought, making good off-ball runs. So that's kind of what it was. I mean, we had a pretty good press. We were vulnerable if the press was beat, which happened maybe once or twice. The space behind Fran Garcia and the half space where Nacho was defending was vulnerable. And offensively, we just really couldn't get the ball in good positions, in part because Brahim was quiet. And Rodrigo, who was slightly more active, didn't have a great game.
Yeah, I think even though we were relatively subdued in the first half, we still had, I would say, 3 major chances. If you think to that first one was really early in the game when Ceballos played a through ball to Rodrigo. It was like the opening 5 minutes.
That was a great chance, actually. Yeah.
Rodrigo was onside, and he should have converted that one. Then you have 2 back-to-back, one in the 34th minute and the other in the 35th minute. The 34th minute was they were basically inverse chances. So Vini plays a fantastic ball to Rodrigo. If you remember, he gets to the byline and just plays it across goal, and Rodrigo barely misses it. And then 35th minute, Rodrigo chips it over the back line into Vini in the box. And Vini kind of fluffed the chance. And I think
was that the one where he tries to chip Diaz?
Yeah, I think it's when he tries to lob it over the goalkeeper. He had a couple of those tonight, and I think Vini had 5 shots in total, and some of them were frustrating. Like, he was through, and I think he could have done better with his finishing.
He had 7 shots.
Oh, 7. Okay, it felt like he had 7 shots, and I think the goal he scored was actually probably the hardest, I would think, of all of them. And he does it with his weak foot. And but even criticizing his finishing tonight, I just thought Vini created so much and was a constant pest, a constant presence. And so this was a good Vinicius game for me, despite the poor finishing.
I thought Vinicius was really good, and I thought he got better as the game wore on. I thought I think the second time he tries to chip Diaz in the second half, and that was the 63rd minute. That was the incredible cruise pass into the box where he finds Vini. Vini is there through on goal. At that point, I was like, just strike it. Diaz has already intercepted one of your chip attempts, and he's like 8 feet. And even then, like, he just got so much height on that, it went way over the bar. Like, it wasn't close. But I thought, like, good for him for learning from that mistake. The next chance he got, he just drilled it. No nonsense, just finish it. One touch, far post, weak foot, beautiful finish. It was a great finish, and as you mentioned, the chaos that he created offensively. Again, when you have high volume offense, it's just natural that you're gonna get a lot of misses, whether it's failed dribbles or failed shots, and that's okay if you're just overall you're net positive. You're a net positive, and I think that's what Vinicius was today, and most of the games he plays in. It's funny when you reflect on it. The game was difficult, but in the end, I thought we played better, and we definitely deserved a win, and we created a lot of good chances. And the times that Las Palmas threatened, most of them, they weren't even able to get good shots off. And obviously, they punished us really well on the Javi Munoz goal, who, of course, it's Javi Munoz. It was either going to be him or Marvin Park who scores today, and it was Javi Munoz. But overall, I thought we were fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Away game, bunch of your starters not on the field. A team that's been playing well this season, and you outperformed them, and you got the W. It was fine.
Yeah. What did you make of the? Personally, I thought this was a penalty kick. The Ceballos one in the first half, 30th minute, inside the box. Obviously, I thought he got there a little bit late, and I thought it was a penalty.
Interesting.
I'm surprised VAR didn't even look at it.
So that one, I thought, when I was watching it in real time, I was actually kind of worried that he was going to make a very clear foul because the way he was running onto it, it looked
Yeah.
like he wasn't going to get to the ball. So I was really hoping he would slow down, and he did. But then he slowed down, and I thought, regardless if it was a penalty or not, I thought it was poor defending from him in that moment. I don't know. I thought, who was it that he was tackling? Do you remember? Was it Sandro
I
or
don't.
somebody else? Anyways, I thought he was kind of looking forward and going down before Ceballos even gets an arm in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can understand that not being called. There was a lot of up in arms and people having a field day with Rodrigo getting away with the hit on Valles early on.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Because I thought like what people weren't showing in their replay and they were cutting it out of context was that before that even happens, Rodrigo has his back to Valles and Valles comes up behind him and just shoves him in the back, and no one showed that clip.
Yeah, and Rodrigo had a couple plays outside the box that like definite fouls that weren't called.
The one where he's right in front of the linesman and the player's on his back, just throwing him to the ground. I was so shocked that wasn't. I was like, "You're right there. How did you not call that?"
Yeah, like I think all in though on this game, I didn't think it was poorly refereed compared to what we've seen.
That's where our standards are. Like this was a masterclass in refereeing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Comparatively speaking, but yeah, I think those are maybe things that could be debated. But
were you watching the Villarreal game before this game started at all?
Yeah, I saw the non-goal.
What did you think?
The disallowed goal, which was absolute bull. Like that,
I couldn't believe it. Well, because the explanation was that it was offside and not a foul. Because I thought maybe
because they said he interfered with the play. He did,
but
not.
He's not. Like someone said,
I think it was Araujo, right? He was able to make the go in and make the tackle. He didn't like pin him back or anything.
Yeah, I mean it's one thing to be in like the goalkeeper's line of sight, which he clearly wasn't. But they're saying now it was the defender that was thrown off by whatever. I mean, I don't know if it's going to make a difference either way. But Villarreal are up 1-0 right now.
Yeah.
All right, back to Real Madrid, Las Palmas. I really like Camavinga's game today.
Me too.
I thought
man of the match.
That's right. You gave him man of the match. I thought in the first half he was really good at just reading passing lanes, evading pressure. They couldn't take the ball off him unless they just hacked him down. Challenges were foot perfect. He got absolutely cleaned at least once. In the second half, there was one really bad challenge on him that those are the ones that I want more protection on players like him. But the assist was also fantastic. The way he cuts in the vision and also just the dink into the box to Vini was perfect.
Yeah, it was. I think tonight he showed elements to his game that we've kind of been longing for, especially in that advanced number 8 role. Like that assist, if you watch his starting position, he's back to goal in the left half space, sitting just on the back 4. And then he kind of drifts closer to the ball and then plays the chip pass. But like typically you don't see Camavinga in those types of positions. And if you do, you see him struggle. And so I was encouraged to see him do really well there. I think, you mentioned it, like everything. How about that 70-yard run he made from like the Las Palmas box to our box to dispossess whoever it was, I think maybe Sandro, and then lead us on the next attack. Like that was incredible. I think even his distribution from deep, everything he did, you mentioned a lot of the interventions, the tackles, the good technical skills. You obviously wrote about how he's really been able to show his press resistance and his on-ball technical ability probably better from the left back position than the center midfield position. But I thought today he was able to, and I agree with you on that, by the way. And I think most people have always thought that, but it was nice for you to like put pen to paper on it and like have it in an article somewhere. But I think today he did show, I felt like a little bit more technical quality in that center midfield position than he normally does. So I think all around great game from Camavinga. And that's what we want from him. Like that's what hopefully he continues this going. Obviously he's coming back from injury, and it's been kind of on and off. And hopefully this starts to spur him into a really good run of form.
I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of his best position and all that. I think like my conclusion is, well, my first conclusion is just have him on the field. I think he affects the game in so many positive ways that you just want him anywhere. I think his best role is the 8, the left center mid. I like him there because we know he's really good at left back, and because he's gotten so many reps at left back now, he just has a natural understanding from that 8 role where he can defensively also help the left back a lot and cover for him and drop. Like if it's Fran Garcia, especially if he goes up, or but whoever really is playing left back, he has an understanding on how to cover for the left back now naturally, seamlessly in the game. The way he'll just drop deep if a left back comes over, but the way he can double up on the flank and defend and help the left back defensively. But also from there, he can also get into advanced positions and break lines and get into the left half space and help Vini as well. That to me is his best role. The 6, I still think his pass resistance isn't as good from that position. Again, if he's going to play there, he's going to be good. But I just think the 8 role is the best role for him. Okay. I thought
on the goal maybe we quickly touch on Las Palmas' goal just because it was so early in the second half.
Yeah.
I want to get your take on it. I thought so it kind of comes from a play where we're attacking down the left. I think Fran Garcia is the last one to kind of play the final ball. It's a low cross that gets cleared out by Las Palmas. They clear it out to the space where Fran would normally be stationed, but Nacho's there, and Nacho I think is pressing and marking Sandro, who's able to hold the ball up and play the pass out wide. And so then Rudiger comes over and Nacho goes centrally, which is what you expect. Rudiger covers for Nacho, and so Nacho just goes back centrally. And I think what happened is once the cross came in, zero communication between Toni Kroos and Nacho, zero. And I think Nacho should have done better to try and react and be aware of the danger and be aware of the guy in front of him and get his body in the way of this shot. But I also think Kroos could have done a lot more to help his teammate out in terms of tracking back, shouting to Nacho, he's there, and just doing. I mean, we've seen this from Kroos so many times, and the pros far outweigh the cons. But this is one element of Kroos' game that we see all the time, where he just like kind of jogs back, tracking back, and doesn't really say anything to his teammates.
Yeah, I thought Kroos and Nacho were equally at fault for that goal. It comes down to those two. I watched it a few times, and I don't like a lot of. Nacho was the one who got crucified the most. I didn't see anyone crucifying Kroos. Maybe they did. Maybe it's also because Kroos just was also amazing in every other facet.
I feel like
and does so many good things.
With beating up on Nacho right now.
It's a people. Yeah, they just pile on. Once it's at this stage, it's just a pile on festival.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they're also right because Nacho did have a poor game, but. The difference between Nacho and Kroos in that sequence, I thought, was Nacho had the effort to track, but was not cognizant of where he needs to be positionally to prevent that cutback, and if not prevent it, at least be in a better position to block the shot. Whereas Kroos, it was just I'm just jogging back. Doesn't matter if anyone is there, if I have to track one person, 2 people, I'm not sure. I'm just jogging back right now because it feels like I'm supposed to be jogging back, but I don't know where to be. With Kroos, it was just like he wasn't even bothering to check where the runner is. So I think I would put it on both of them. I think that, first of all, to give credit to Las Palmas, I thought it was a beautifully worked goal. The way they escaped pressure in their own half, the way they quickly played it with one touch, the diagonal, long ball, Rudiger comes over to defend. I think it was Sandro. And then they just worked it well. But I thought it was a preventable goal. And I think Nacho and Kroos, if they had the effort and communication down, they could have prevented it. Having said that, there is part of me, Matt, that kind of feels it's necessary for us to concede, for us to kick into gear. I'm telling you, like, as soon as we concede, that's when I'm at most comfortable. watching at home, I'm like, finally, we're going to play with urgency now. I told Lucas this. I have a friend who starts putting money on Real Madrid only when they concede. He's a Real Madrid fan. He makes a killing this way. And because the odds just go down for Real Madrid, and then, it's worth it. So part of me feels like it's necessary for us to concede.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weekends, your friends made a killing.
Yeah.
2 back-to-back comeback wins.
He lost money in the Super Cup because he put Real Madrid to come back against Atletico. And they did, but it wasn't in regulation.
The Copa del Rey. Yeah.
The Spanish Super Cup. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Against Atletico.
Yeah. And I think I'll be honest, I wasn't as calm as you. I was a little worried when they scored. I was like, man, now we got to do this again. We got to click into gear, but we did. I mean, we were creating so much, and I thought second half we were better than even the first half. And I mentioned those 3 clear-cut chances, but I thought Vini really started to get going. Cruz really started to get going in the second half. You already mentioned that lobbed ball he played to Vini. That kind of set the warning shot to Las Palmas of what was to come. And then ultimately, the goal with Camavinga's lobbed ball, just beautiful. And we mentioned it. Vini's finish was phenomenal with his left foot. And I think from there, we just kept going. We kept going. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but I thought this was Fran Garcia's best game in a Real Madrid shirt, especially that second half. I thought his crosses were fantastic. I thought his cutbacks were on point. Off-ball movement, his pressure, his speed was so lethal. And I mean, I think it was the last podcast that you and I did that I kind of complained about Fran Garcia and said, hey, I haven't seen what I expected from him. Today was much, much, much better. Again, I thought this was his best performance in a Real Madrid shirt.
Really interesting. I mean, I thought he was good. I actually, what was it? The last game he played?
He came on as a sub against Mallorca.
That's right. Yeah, I actually thought,
and he played well. Yeah.
In the second half, I liked his energy off the bench, and I liked his crossing a little bit better in that game actually. But there were a couple times today but again, it's well-intentioned play. I think maybe with him, it's a comfort thing. He just needed time to get comfortable and get used to the nerves. I think that's part of it. But I'm glad because we knew that at Rayo, he was also good defensively at Rayo too, which I think some of us were surprised that that's where he struggled at Real Madrid, was that he was good offensively in spurts, but defensively he struggled. So I'm glad he's starting to come alive a little bit here and work his way into the rotation. And I think it's safe to say Mendy has also started to play better too. So if we can get more security at left back, fantastic. Also, Carvajal, another awesome Carvajal game, man. I don't know what it is, how he's doing.
He scored too. He had that disallowed goal. It was just offsides.
And also just in the second half, there was a moment where Las Palmas had a fresh player on the wing. And this is in the 81st minute. And the winger is just sprinting down with the ball, full throttle. And Carvajal is staying with him step by step, every single step of the way. And then eventually wins the ball. And then 5 minutes later, he's having this great defensive intervention in the box. He's been awesome. Like, just wingback production, man, makes such a big difference in the success of this team.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I didn't realize how much time is flying here. And I know we got to be done in like 10 minutes or so. So what did you want to prioritize?
Maybe just the second goal. I think a lot of people were surprised when Tchouameni came on for Camavinga, given how well Camavinga was playing. And you needed a goal, but I didn't really have an issue with the substitution.
Ancelotti said after the game, Camavinga was tired.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it just provided a little bit more balance anyways. And sure enough, Tchouameni, the birthday boy, gets up for his second headed goal of the season, and Cruz, really great delivery from the corner kick. And that was huge for us. That was huge, turned it around. And from there, I thought we were kind of comfortable. Las Palmas never really worried us. We even got a Arda Güler debut in La Liga, which was nice. He was unlucky not to score after Joselu played that pass to him really late in the game. But I think that Tchouameni goal was huge, and I think it'll be good for his confidence after everything that happened after the Atleti game, and people really criticizing him and him liking weird Twitter posts and stuff like that. So I'm happy for Tchouameni.
I never actually saw what he liked. Was it something about he didn't like it was a position that he didn't want to play center back?
So there's this Spanish journalist that works in France, Andy Orubina or something like that, and he's like he covers French football, and so he covered Tchouameni really closely when he was at Monaco, and he basically said in the tweet that like Tchouameni wasn't right mentally in that game and like didn't have the right attitude, but like then went on to defend him and like how good he is and blah blah blah. And Tchouameni liked the post, and so it was just weird because it was almost like Tchouameni admitted that he didn't go into that game with the right attitude. And then there was another one he liked after that too. I missed it. I forget what it was, but it was kind of along those same lines. And I think players are better off just like, as hard as it is to like try not to ignore that stuff. I think they're better off just ignoring it and not getting involved. But yeah, I think he this was good for him. I think this was really good for him. So
I'm gonna go through some notes here. Andre Lunin, big save on Munir at the near post in the 47th minute, and does really well to intercept a dangerous Las Palmas cutback 2 minutes later. Good game from him. The only thing I would nitpick is one of his passes was poor in the first half, but I think that's silly to nitpick that right now. I thought he was good. Rudiger, pretty solid again.
Unsung hero.
Yeah, good distribution. He had that one really important block with his head in the 3rd minute. Remember when Carvajal miskicks it and the ball comes over, Las Palmas have an open shot. Rudiger gets his head in the way and blocks it with his head. What were your thoughts on Ceballos? We didn't talk about him that much apart from the penalty he nearly conceded.
Yeah, I thought he was. I mean, he had that early pass that we talked about to Rodrigo, which was nice. But
yeah,
after that, I thought he was kind of quiet. You expect more from Ceballos, especially this is usually his time of year. So I expect more from him. Obviously, it's been really on and off. This is his first start of the entire season. So I think we'll see more of him, and I think it'll gradually improve, but not much to note in this game. And I think that's one of the themes from this match, because I also thought the same about Rodrigo. Like, he had some chances and he created some chances, but overall felt a little bit more quiet than usual for me. And I think that's kind of the theme, is like we had a lot of quiet performances. Brahim, Rodrigo, Ceballos, guys like that. And so I think that's what made this game a little bit more of a struggle than it needed to be. But fortunately for us, we had enough quality and enough good performances from Cruz, Camavinga, Vini, that it offset that.
I wanted to we have like 5 minutes. I wanted to change the subject with you and throw a curveball at you. It has nothing to do with this game. So okay. I wanted to, but if you had anything else in this game, now is the time.
No, I think we're good.
All right. I also know that Wesley is awake because I see you making baby faces across the table. I found a really interesting quote from Scaloni, the Argentina coach, yesterday. And I thought I was fascinated by it because I found myself completely in agreement with it. And I even sent it to a bunch of my friends who run academies and are coaches. I wanted to get your take on it. So somebody asks him, like, his thoughts on basically football these days. And this is the quote. He says, "There is too much analysis in football, too much. Nowadays, everyone knows how the opponent plays. There is so much information that in the end, the most important thing, which is the footballer, is controlled by remote control. And in our case, I don't know with other teams, you run the risk of losing the essence, of taking away from the player what he has best. If you're constantly telling him what to do, you run that risk. We transmit what is fair, what we believe we have to transmit, what is really important so as to not overwhelm you with information. we are losing the essence of football, and not only at the professional level, but at the children's level as well. My children play in Spain, and they are overwhelmed with the information. They receive the ball and are already being told what to do. There are no dribblers because if they barely receive the ball, you tell them to pass it. Imagine if Messi, when he was 8 years old, had been told all the time to pass it. His coaches today, we wouldn't have Messi. It's something impressive. Since football has ended up being such a big thing, everyone reads, studies, and believes that with what they can lead, probably some translation issues here. If you tell a 7 or 8 year old child to make a run, to make coverage, he is only 7 years old. Let him play with the ball, make mistakes, and when he is 14 or 15, then we can start correcting him. It is a message for the future. There is a sport, and the beauty of football should not be lost. I wanted to get your thoughts on it because at some point, Wesley is going to be probably enlisted in soccer. And I wanted to know how you would want someone to coach him because Luca is in an academy right now. I took him out and I put him in an actual academy because I didn't like, and mind you, he's so little, but like, even myself growing up here in Canada, I was always frustrated with the fact that there was no room for creativity. It was very stereotypical, like 1-touch, 2-touch soccer, play the way you're facing. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but everything was kind of made up before anything was actually played out. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you think of that.
Yeah, well, first off, I love that quote. I think he's spot on. He also went on to compliment Carlo Ancelotti and his management style and say that he's the ultimate role model in that quote. I wouldn't be surprised if one day Scaloni is linked with the Madrid job.
Wow. We should bookmark this in case it ever happens.
I could see that happening. And I 100% agree with him. I think part of the fun of this Madrid team is that there's so much ingenuity, so much creative thinkers, and ability to just get out of tight situations with the ball at your feet. Camavinga, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham, like so many that can just out of nothing get out of a tight situation, and where there looks like there's no solutions, they can do it on their own. And that is a dying breed in football. And we have so many of those types of players on our team. Brahim too. That's what makes this team so fun. And that's why I argued at the start of the season that goals will not be a problem, because you're just going to generate so much volume of attack because of how good these guys are technically. And so, yeah, I love that quote from him. There's actually a similar quote that Luis Enrique, who I'm not the biggest Luis Enrique fan, but he had a similar quote when he was doing the Twitch streams over the World Cup. Mm-hmm. He said, "Let your child enjoy themselves. Only 1% or less of Spanish children will arrive to play professionally. So your child's objective and yours as a parent is that your child is happy and they develop as a person. In a football team, they'll learn life values, how to win, how to lose, frustration, managing happiness with teammates, sadness with teammates, and see that the world doesn't revolve around you. Forget results. Just ask, did you have fun? Did you give it everything? That's it." And that's the type of stuff I love. And like Scaloni made the point, like at 14, 15, 16, that's when you can really start to try and hammer home the tactical stuff and the habits and all of that. But at that young age, just let them find creative solutions. Let them work on their technique. Let them like have fun and just enjoy it. And so I'm 100% in agreement with that.
Yeah, it's something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I think Scaloni verbalized what I was feeling, and I kind of appreciated that. I liked it. I liked the quote. I agree with him. All right, we're going to wrap it here. So over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid, we have at least 3 bonus shows coming up, and over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid, you can get access to that. You can get access to our weekly Zoom calls and access to the mailbag and also submit questions. So we also wanted to give a quick shout out to our patrons. If you pledge $10 or more, not only do you get access to everything, but you also get guaranteed responses to your questions, and you get a specific shout out on the podcast. So shout out to our amazing patrons, and shout out to these patrons specifically who pledge $10 or more per month: Daniel Smith, Ramtin Maghrur, Bella Chow, Adam Dorsey, Adarza Lukovic, Azaz Hussein, Alex Perez, Alex Thyberg, Alexandria McCaskill, Ananya Kumar, Andres Silvestre, Anthony Tharp, Armando L, Armand Gashi, Armash, Arnab Mukherjee, Brandon Stevens, Brendan Powers, Carlos Fuentes, Christian Acosta, Christian Toff, Connor McMorrow, Daniel Williams, Deadpool Lover, Eloy Enriquez, S.A. Davisito, Fabian Moreno, Frederick Sundros, Frederick Rantakiro, Gary Kohut, Graham Gerard, Howard Moore, Hamed, Ian Marley, Jacob P., Jason Fitz, John Fernandez, Jose Cruz, Jose Osorio, Kevin Rivera, Halfan Alkabi, Kunal Telekar, Leon Stavronakis, Logan Stahl, Magnus Lext, Martin Ridman, Matthew Atkins, Marin Myrtle, Michael Zinberg, MJ Diego, Naveen, Ndaba Halambangana, Nelson Mazariego, Nick Ribeiro, Nicholas Moeller, Oscar Barrera, Paulo Fierro, Peter P., Phoenix, Rishi D, Sai Mohan, Sasi Kumar, Said Mahad, Samer Z, Samuli Justin, Santos Solorzano, Sergio Arispe, Sheikh Hatiri, Somanchu Singh, Sujaiwani, Sushank Tamala, Tahmid Kalam, Tobias Arroyo Botcher, Wamik Jamal, Wasim Haddad, Will Sousa, Willie Reed, and Brandon Alvarez. Thank you guys so much for your support. Matt, thank you. I appreciate your time. And we will catch you guys on Monday, probably, with Lucas. All right, take care, guys.
Yep. Thanks again.